Welcome, everyone. Thank you for being here. While we are here, it would be wonderful if you would change your name in your picture, and please put your school district there. And if you're not with a school district, please go ahead and put your organization. We'll go ahead and get started. My name is Laura Hyatt, and I'm the manager of the School Action Fund team here at TEA. And with me here is Melissa Miner, and I'll have her go ahead and introduce herself.
Hi, I'm Melissa Miner, and I'm a district support specialist here with the School Action Fund at TEA. I just wanted to thank you for your interest in school action.
Thank you, Melissa. So today, while we are here together, we will be talking briefly about LASO Cycle 3 and where SAF, the School Action Fund, is in LASO Cycle 3 and what grants are available. And then we'll be doing a deep dive in really School Action Fund Restart Action. And we will leave you here with some resources, next steps, and if we have time, a Q&A. So let's briefly jump into LASO Cycle 3. So here you can see that with LASO Cycle 3, we have approximately $160 million that the agency is going to be distributing in services and supports across 11 TEA initiatives to support learning acceleration and innovation. And this will be through one program application to access funding, and this is the third iteration of LASO 3 for the state. LASO is a consolidated grant application, and the grants are divided into 3 categories: curriculum and instruction, more time, and innovative school models. And the School Action Fund is in the Innovative School Models group. So we'll now take a look briefly at the grants that are in LASO Cycle 3, and I'll just give you about 30 seconds to take a look at these. As you see here, the School Action Fund, again, is in the third group, the Innovative School Models group. And once more, just as we did in LASO Cycle 2, the ADSI full year model is included in the School Action Fund, and we're incorporating it once more here, which we are excited to do. School Action Fund, which this for us is Cycle 9, here in Cycle 3. We have approximately $8 million in direct-to-district grant funding, and we're estimating that the range of awards will be $185,000 to $375,000 per campus grantee. And we are estimating also about 36 campuses will be awarded. The grant timeline will be from March 1st through June 2026. So March 1st, 2025 through June 2026. And that's for planning grants, and it's the same timeline for implementation grants. They'll both be approximately 15 months or so. So we'll move into the School Action Fund and the SAF eligibility. So let's hop on over to that. So School Action Fund eligibility is twofold mainly. Title I, all SAF grantees must be Title I, and they have to have a federal accountability designation of comprehensive support identified or targeted support identified, not additional targeted support identified. And then there's 2 additional pieces. SAF grantees cannot have been previously awarded School Action Fund grants since 2019-20, and they cannot be current recipients of 2024-2026 ESF Focus Support grants. Also, just to reiterate what the purpose is of the School Action Fund program, it is that school actions are whole school strategies that districts use to increase access to high quality schools by meeting community needs and or addressing chronic underperformance. And there are 4 school actions that TEA supports, and they are: 1, to restart an existing school, which we'll be going through in the deep dive today. The second is to create a new school. The third is to reassign students to high-performing campuses after school closure. And the fourth one is to redesign an existing school. And those other 3 actions will also have their own webinars later on this week, and we'll give you the dates and times for those later on in this webinar. So school actions are a best fit for, if we'll go back to that slide, they are a best fit for districts who are interested in transforming campus and district systems to enable better student experiences, and for dramatically improving chronically underperforming campuses, and or to create new school options for families, and integrating multiple strategies such as HQIM, otherwise known as high quality instructional materials, as well as RBs, those are research-based instructional strategies, as well as new academic and staffing models. So moving forward, we always like to really talk about what the School Action Fund theory of action is. And it is that if district and campus leaders are supported to plan deeply every aspect of the school action, and then implement that plan with fidelity, then more students will have access to high quality learning environments and outcomes will dramatically improve. So what's included in a School Action Fund grant? So SAF grants include technical assistance from vetted technical assistance providers, and these technical assistance providers have expertise in school actions and models, as well as track records of success. There's also access to tools and resources to support development of goals, improvement plans, and implementation of HQIM and other areas. Of course, there's funding for the grantees, as mentioned earlier. And then there's leadership professional opportunities for leaders of campuses to get together and learn from each other. Next, we're also proud of some of the successes that many grantees have had, and here's the impact of the School Action Fund over the years. So since 2017-18, the School Action Fund has worked with approximately 90 LEAs across all 20 education service centers. And we have supported more than 295 school actions that have been planned and implemented across the state. And at this point in time, the School Action Fund has distributed more than $232 million in both direct-to-district grants and in-kind support. And this has supported more than 133,000 students across the state. This slide shows you how within an annual cycle, a lot of districts select a school action after analyzing what a district needs. And so if we go to the next slide, we will take a look at the governance types as well as identifying different models. And so what school actions should we consider? As we've mentioned before, there are restart actions, new school actions, reassign actions, and redesign actions. And these all have different considerations and questions that can be asked. And today we'll be talking about the restart actions, and the rest, as I mentioned before, have different webinars that we'll have later on in this week. So we can move forward from here. So the nice thing about this slide is that we can literally read it from left to right. So in this process, districts take a look at which action should you select. You can take a look at the 4 actions and you selected the right action for your campus, for your district, and your community. And then you take a look at which which governance type you might be interested in. For reassign, there's no governance type because the school will be closed. And so the other districts, the other actions have either a district-run governance type or an SB 1882 partnership or turnaround partnership governance type. So throughout this, you'll hear both myself and Melissa talk about different terms, which mean the same thing, turnaround partnership or an SB 1882 partnership. And so a district-run partnership means that the district will be running and managing the school, whereas with a partnership model, there will be an outside entity that will be undertaking the management of the school. And then for the third step, each of the districts, each of the grantees will select a specific model. And so for restart actions, we'll be diving into the ACE model because in LASO 3, SAF Cycle 9, that's the only model that's available for restart actions. The other 2 models, Advanced STEM and ADSI Full Year, those are available for the Create New and the Redesign actions. The turnaround partnerships we will also be talking about today, as that's also an option for the restart actions. So we'll go ahead and move forward. And next to talk about the elements of successful school actions. So regardless of the action, the model, the governance type, all school action fund campuses will include the following elements. The first one is the effective school framework. And we deeply believe that the effective school framework is really how districts and campuses align to provide the great education across the state for all of our students. Also high quality instructional materials so that teachers are not spending a lot of time creating lesson plans, but rather deeply internalizing materials that will support all students and learners. Research-based instructional strategies, which are best practices and agnostic of curriculum materials and are based on how students best to learn in reading and mathematics. Strategic scheduling is required of all school action grantees, and that may include blended learning, extended day or year, or the ADSI full year model as some examples. And then another element of successful school actions, which is required, is an empowered campus leader with a track record of success. So then the next thing for us to think about and talk about is selecting a school action and how we might do that. But before we move into that, just to take a quick look at some of the reasons why we might select this action. And clearly you can see the data here that if you look at the track record, the number of A and B restart campuses has increased from 14% in 2019 to 49% in 2022. So let's move forward. So before we get to the restart actions, I'm going to ask to the key elements, I'm going to ask Melissa to drop a link in the chat for everyone. And what I'm going to take everyone through is the school action self-assessment. And so also Stephen is driving the slides for us. He's another one of our district support specialists. Thank you, Stephen. If you can bring up that slide with the school action self-assessment so that we can take a look at that slide while Melissa is dropping the link in the chat so that we can all do that self-assessment together. So the school action self-assessment is a tool that is not an exact science. It's really just to help spark conversations with fellow district leaders, with school board members, and with families that hopefully will provide a starting place to understand what actions are the most likely to provide support for your school and community with ideas for new schools or restart actions that will move your community and your school forward. So if everyone will go ahead and open that link. So it should ask that you make a copy. So don't be surprised if it does that. That's exactly what it is supposed to ask you to do. If you are having any trouble with that link, would you please drop that in the chat so that we're able to help you with that? And we want to make sure that everyone is doing this along with us at the same time. And so, Melissa, we are seeing your screen share at this time, and you could just share your internet with the make a copy at this point. There we go. So I'm just going to pause here for about 10 more seconds. I don't see anybody in the chat yet having any problems with being able to make a copy in the link. So I am mentally now at about 7 1,000, 8 1,000, 9 1,000, 10 1,000. Okay, I think we're all good to go. Still not seeing anybody having any trouble. All right, great. So this again is really just a tool hoping to spark some conversations with helping to select an action moving forward. So we won't go through reading the instructions, but if Melissa, if you will click on the tab for instructions, you will see that there's an introduction as well as instructions for how to actually complete this tool. We'll select the district readiness next. That's the next tab. So this is something that a school board member or a grant coordinator or even someone on a campus can actually do on their own. And I won't go ahead and read each one of these, but I'll read the first word basically for each one. So it really asks if your district is ready to implement a school action. Remember, school action is a whole school strategy. So we'll talk about it more, but it's really not about tweaking something on a campus. It's a whole school strategy. So it is asking if your campus is ready in terms of conviction is the first one. Clarity, capacity, coalition, culture. Again, we mentioned the Effective Schools Framework. We'll talk some more about a performance agreement and or contract. We mentioned also a campus leader with a track record of success, the high quality instructional materials, and the strategic schedule. So you can see how the horizontal alignment carries over. We wanted to make sure that what you see and hear, even from the program guidelines, as well as coming over into this tool, really makes sense for you. So Melissa, why don't you select agree for all of the C's? We'll call them the C's: conviction, clarity, coalition, and culture. Select the second highest for Effective Schools Framework. Not because we believe anyone here isn't in total agreement, but just to see what the overall score may come out to be, just to give us an example. And then go ahead and select the highest one for all of the rest of them. And of course, as you're going along, you can be making comments to yourself and your notes in the blue boxes. So if you go ahead and just select one of the blue boxes, maybe for strategic schedule, you might make a note and say for yourself, especially since this is restart, and we'll talk about the ACE model in another minute, you might want to say extended day is an option. Well, you might say extended day is not an option, so you can put in a note for yourself. And then if you scroll back up to the top on that same tab, Melissa, you will see it gives you a score. So you're all green, so that means you're ready to proceed to an action. So if we go to the next tab, you see it says yes. If you go to the next tab, campus conditions, now you have more questions and thoughts to think through. So we won't go through all of these. And then you would go to the next tab, excuse me, and then it would give you an idea based on all of your responses, which action that you should be taking. So now that we've walked through that tool, I'll give Melissa a moment to exit out of that and for Stephen to reshare his screen, and then we will jump back into the deck and restart from where we were. So hopefully that self-assessment tool, that school action self-assessment tool, will be helpful for you in deciding which action you will consider moving forward. And so now I'll pass it over to Melissa as she does a deep dive with you on the restart action.
Thank you, Laura. And like we said before, why would you select the restart action? We know that in our experience, the restart is a challenging action and it has the highest return on investment in terms of academic outcomes. When districts get this right, it can be a game changer for students with the potential to move campuses from an F to an A or B in more than 1 year or in 1 year. It allows you to have more time with the best teachers and high quality instructional materials. And we've listed again why you might want to select this action, what this action comprises of, and the track record. I'll give you a few moments to read this slide. Pay special attention to that track record there. The number of A and B restart campuses increased from 14% in 2019 to 49% in 2022. On our next slide, we wanted you to really know the key elements of a school action fund restart. We replace the leader and the staff. So the campus replaces the campus leader and staff with a new leader and staff that have a successful track record of student achievement. The campus does get to keep its CDCN number. There's a whole new student experience. The instructional excellence is focused on data-driven instruction, high-quality instructional materials, and early interventions. There's support for students and training for educators focused on mental health and student resilience. You're rethinking the whole school day. So the restart action rethinks the school day to provide more instructional time for students, resulting in rapidly improved outcomes. So there are benefits to the restart action. So highly effective teachers and leadership. The students remain in the neighborhood campus. There's an increase of wraparound services for students. And there's additional funding with 1882 partnerships if eligible. And additional funding is that the restart actions can leverage certain models, including ACE and Texas Turnaround, which we call with Senate Bill 1882, and they can get additional funding through that. It depends on the campus and the district. We can talk about it a little bit later there. We can move on to the next slide. So there's two different ways that you can plan and implement this action. You can choose to be district managed or go through the Texas partnership route. This picture shows you kind of a high level of how you might choose to plan and implement both the district run and the partner managed restart action. We're going to first discuss district run restart actions and the ACE model. So how will that action be implemented? The grant is implemented in multiple stages, potentially over the course of 3 years. This slide shows some of the activities that are expected during each stage of the grant and some of the activities that will be implemented during each phase. I'll give you a moment to read through the stages from pre-planning, which is where most of you are now, learning about SAF and determining your model, to where you will be in the future, thinking about sustainability and taking that action model beyond the grant. Sustainability includes thinking about how to continue the work past the grant funds and structures provided, such as using the teacher incentive allotment, which we call TIA, and to continue providing the stipends for excellent teachers. You might be thinking, what is a school model? Well, a school model, they're evidence-based ESF aligned approaches that districts can implement as best fit school options for students. For School Action Fund Cycle 9, we're supporting ACE model for the restart action. ACE has 5 pillars, which includes strategic staffing, instructional excellence, extended learning time, wraparound supports, and partnerships with parental and community organizations. And remember, the ACE model is available only if the restart action is selected. You'll see that there are other models there to the right, the additional days, school year, full year, and advanced STEM models, and those will be available with redesign and create new school actions, which again, we have webinars coming and we'll tell you more about those later on in this webinar. In SAF Cycle 9 for LASO 3 for restart action grantees, the model option that is available is ACE, like we said before, which is a codified through legislation 39A.105. These are just the highlights of that requirement of the law, which has been linked. I will give you a few moments to read. You can review the legislation for full details. These are, again, just the highlights of that legislation. It speaks about principal assignment, teacher effectiveness, employment and compensation, best practices and implementation, and third-party assistance. All of that just highlights of Section 39A.105. So we took the legislative requirements, we added best practices, and we codified the model to create the playbook with practitioners in the field. The ACE playbook, which can be found on the Center for School Action's website, contains the resources, the action steps, the timelines, and the exemplars to restarting a school as an ACE campus. For district-run campuses, the grantees are allowed the flexibility from LEA policies and practices in order to enact the school action model and implement high-quality instructional materials, or HQIM. This flexibility is documented in the school design plans, performance agreements, and implementation plans, and is approved by the superintendent and/or the board of trustees. We've said this before, but we're going to go over the components of the ACE model. There are 5 core components: strategic staffing, instructional excellence, extended learning time, wraparound supports, parent and community organizations. At the heart of the ACE model is strategic staffing. We want to staff our schools with highly effective principals and teachers. Under strategic staffing, a new campus leader is selected. Exceptional educators are identified by using both qualitative and quantitative data. Financial incentives are used to encourage teacher placement. Leadership and teaching staff is committed to driving school improvement and enhancing student learning. And targeted professional development for all staff members is offered. The second component of the ACE model is instructional excellence. There's data-driven instruction and PLC implementation. There's a high student expectation and achievement culture, continuous improvement for both students and staff. There's ongoing observation feedback cycles, and there's use of high-quality assessments to monitor student growth and support student progress. A third core component of the ACE model is extending your learning time. The model extends learning opportunities beyond the traditional school day. As you can see here, the schools offer extra hours of instruction, primarily focusing on reading and math, to provide students with additional time to master those core subjects. They include time for intervention, enrichment activities, and engagement with parents and the community. Breakfast, lunch, and dinner to all students every day. It ensures that students' nutritional needs are met, which is essential for the overall well-being and academic success of all students. Wraparound supports is important as well to the ACE model. It recognizes the importance of a supportive school environment, and the ACE model emphasizes the development of positive relationships between students and adults. And the last core component of the ACE model, or the final pillar of the ACE model, is the establishment of strong partnerships with parents and the community. New partnerships are sought in to bring resources and support that can further enhance the educational experience for students. Effective communication and regular engagement with parents and community members are essential for creating a supportive network around the students. This model encourages schools to hold community-centered events and meetings, fostering a sense of collaboration and shared responsibility for student success. And I'm going to pass it on to Laura, and she's going to speak to you about partner-managed campuses.
Thank you, Melissa. As Melissa mentioned earlier, we have two governance structures that are available for restart actions. And she just finished talking about the district run type. So we're going to talk about partner managed actions. And as I said earlier, we interchanged some terms, partner managed, SB 1882. So here is what you'll see in our program guidelines for LASO 3, Cycle 9 School Action Fund. I'll give you a few moments to read through this. So a couple of items that I would like to highlight here is with an SB 1882 partnership through SAF. These are available only for F-rated campuses in the event, hopefully, that ratings are released. If not, there would be potentially an equivalent as defined by TEA or as confirmed by internal LEA data analysis. And if an applicant is invited to an oral interview, then we would ask for that data and analysis to be shared so that it can be confirmed. Something else that I would like to highlight is just as with district-run campuses, the LEA, when they launch the call for quality schools, must include high-quality instructional materials as a requirement for the operating partner, and that should be part of what they are looking for. The expectation that they will also implement that at the partnership school. Partner managed campuses, as we said before, need to have a high quality operating partner. And remember that a district authorizes the partnership. TEA does not authorize the partner. So while the district is authorizing the partner, there is some qualifications that the operating partner must meet in order for SB 1882 partnership benefits for them to be able to qualify for that. And so these three at the top are critical, and you'll see some items that are highlighted, which I want to be very specific about taking note of. The operating partner must have been in existence for at least 3 years prior to undertaking the management of the district campus. The second one is that the operating partner must have managed multiple campuses for multiple years. And the operating partner must have a track record of managing campuses to academic success or has significantly improved the academic performance of campuses. And that might look, for example, taking a campus from perhaps a D or F rating to a B or an A rating. Or having improved the overall STAR scores of math and reading at a campus from 30% to 70%. So it's very clearly written in the legislation, and you see it here, Rule 97.1079, what the qualifications are for operating partners for SB 1882 benefits. So what is the Restart Partnership? So here's what it is. It's an opportunity to authorize successful organizations as operating partners to improve student outcomes. We still expect that these school models are going to be ESF aligned so that there is potential for additional per pupil funding to transform the school. And remember, the campuses still remain a district school with district students. So what a Restart Partnership is not. It is not that a school is being privatized. It's also not that it's just small tweaks or changes to either existing curriculum or instructional strategies with existing staff and leadership. A Restart Partnership really entails, again, it's a whole school action, it's a new organization, there's new staff and new leadership as well. And this is also not a new school. This is a restart action. It's a turnaround. And that's why you'll hear again us interchanging terms such as turnaround partnership, restart partnership, SB 1882. So next, some key elements around turnaround partnerships. We've highlighted a few, new leader, new staff. That's pretty common again with restart actions. The students remain district students, and the partnership campus accountability gains count for the district accountability because it's still a district school. District maintains ultimate responsibility for the partnership, and this is negotiated through performance measures. And the financial goals also are included in the performance agreement. So the campus remains, again, a district school. The educational measures, the performance measures, the financial rating, that's still all part of the district's accountability system. And the partner, though, has the sole autonomy over staffing, curriculum, budgets, and the school calendar. So there's always a balance between the autonomy as well as the measurement and the high standards that the district who's the authorizer holds the partner to. So reasons why a district and authorizer might choose this model: to provide a high quality option through a partner that has a track record of success. There's also the potential for additional funding for per pupil. And one thing to note about this is that sometimes smaller districts, especially those with less than 1,500 students, they may not realize very high per pupil additional funding. So it's always good to use the online calculators to check on that. But there is the potential for those SB 1882 benefits to be worth taking a look at restart turnaround partnerships. You also have the option of being able to deliver a more diverse set of schools and programs for your community needs and demands. Another way or another reason for undertaking a partnership is that you maintain a neighborhood school. So it's still being able to provide your families and your communities with a high quality choice that's in their neighborhood without having to move a school. And then you're also able to expand that capacity and resources for the district through leveraging the expertise of a partner. I'll hand it back over to Melissa so that she has an opportunity to share some of the success stories with Restart Partnerships and Restart Actions as a whole through the School Action Fund.
Yes, thank you. We have had a lot of success with the School Action Fund Restart program. And so we wanted to share those with you. So the first school that we wanted to share was with Goodman Elementary, and that's in Aldine. And so Aldine ISD launched 2 ACE campuses in 2019, Goodman and Worsham Elementary Schools. And prior to ACE, Goodman had consistently performed below the district average. You'll go back one slide, please. And so they had their vision statement and mission statement there. And then Worsham is the next slide with their vision statement and mission statement there. And then the following slide shows their results, basically from 2021 and 2022. So the program moved their best teachers and staff to the 2 elementary schools, and they extended the school day, and they added positive behavioral support for the students. The teachers also went through specialized training and extra professional development. And you can see there that they were able to raise their overall ratings with success through the ACE program. The next slide shows additional progress that Goodman Elementary School and Worsham Elementary School are performing well above the overall district average. So in year 1, I'll just let you guys read it. The math is there, so it shows their progress there. The Goodman is the teal color, the Worsham is the orange color, and the Aldine average for the whole ISD is there in the grayish color. So they're above average, those 2 schools. And they were less impacted by COVID. Okay, and we looked to see what specifically were the things that made them successful. So some of their implementation highlights were that the teachers really embraced that HQIM, or the high quality instructional materials, and they put in the work to make sure that they provided that high quality instruction, that first teach. The teachers were actively engaged in their content-based professional learning, or the CBPLs, and their hard work is transferred to the students through their quality instruction. The students progressed, it's evident, and the students were gaining deeper understanding of both math and reading concepts. The teachers and students were made connections between the knowledge and skills from one grade level to the next, and it fostered a really cohesive learning environment. What's up next for Worsham is the consistency and quality will ensure sustained growth and success. Is what they were really looking for. And for Goodman Elementary, the highlights included a strong data-driven instructional cycle within their PLCs. And this meant that the teachers use the student data to inform their teaching strategies to make real-time adjustments to improve their student outcomes. Instructional coaches and administration worked close to support teachers, that worked closely to support the teachers. And this included ongoing professional development with timely and relevant observation and feedback cycles. as well as mentoring programs that were available campus-wide. There was a noticeable increase in teacher confidence and utilizing those HQIM materials. And that was thanks to targeted training and consistent feedback and support structures that were provided throughout the year. The school fostered a really strong family and community engagement calendar throughout the year, such as family nights, and they had consistent communication, which helped build a supportive school environment. And what's next for them is that they really wanted to make sure that they sustained the student growth trajectories by maintaining that instructional excellence and data-driven practices. And they wanted to work on building enrichment and learning opportunities there.
And just as a quick note before we move on, it seems like somebody's back screen is showing. If we want to take that off of the slide presentation. And so moving forward, Melissa will talk with you about the Fort Worth ISD example and their success.
Yeah, I can share my screen.
Great.
So we had Steve and the LAN Network, which is the Leadership Academy Network, is a SB 1882 partnership between Fort Worth ISD and the Texas Wesleyan University, and allows districts to expand the diversity of school options. And they bring in that targeted expertise, and they empower school leaders and partners with great autonomy. And there's 5 Fort Worth ISD campuses that are included in this LAN network, and 3 of them are School Action Fund grantees. We are really excited about them. On the next slide, it shows their progress as well throughout the years. I'll give you a minute to look at that. We have Logan Elementary there in the green from 2013 through 2022. Homo Elementary, or the Leadership Academy at Homo Elementary from 2013 to 2022. And Forest Oak Middle School. These are the 3 out of the 5 land schools at Fort Worth ISD. All 3 of these were our staff schools. I'll give you a minute to look at that. But as you can see, they went from IR campuses to C and B ratings. And when we were looking back at their success and implementation, they had their PLCs included weekly or biweekly content grade level plannings. They were able to work at having lesson plan development sessions as well. And they really worked on having strong demonstrations of student learning, kind of like exit tickets. They were a little more specific than that. They worked on a reteach cycle of learning with strong data cycles. They had campus coaching and curriculum. Again, all of this was within the School Action Fund grants. And they had a master teacher program, which the top tier teachers applied and they're selected to serve as master teachers on campus. And what's next for them is to expand that teacher career pathway within the LAN network to continue to increase student achievement. And with that, I'm going to pass it back to Laura, and she can talk to you about the staff resources and next steps.
All right, great. Thank you very much, Melissa. And I think that I will hand it back over to you to share your screen. Thank you. Appreciate that. So here we have several School Action Fund resources. As you know, we have the Center for School Actions, and their website has the school model playbooks for the ACE model that we have talked about here for the Restart Action. as well as the other two models that the School Action Fund has available here in LASO Cycle 3, adds a full year and advanced STEM. There's other resources as well. We showed you the School Action Self-Assessment. It's linked here, and it's linked in the earlier slide. And this deck will be up on the LASO 3 website along with the other webinars once we're completed those. We also put a link for the Texas Partnerships website because we wanted to make sure you had access to that. And there's also the Texas Partnerships Guide and the Authorizer Handbook available on that website. HQIM and Arby's resources, you've heard us mention both of those several times as they are elements of SAF and requirements. And the Strong Foundations website is very detailed on the RBs. And so moving forward, just as some more resources and support, the Center for School Actions will be having office hours on Thursday and Friday. Here you see the times. And you can hop into those, or if you want to schedule a particular one-on-one call just for yourself, their calendar is available there. And the person that they have available for you has a lot of skill, expertise, and background. She has been both an SGS executive advisor as well as a lead for the Center for School Actions and Maya Consulting in supporting School Action Fund grantees. Here is the LASO Cycle 3 timeline. So you know that the application opened on October 14th. The application will close on December 13th at 5 p.m. Central Time. You will notice that I bolded that and put it in blue. So it is 5 p.m. Central Time, just as a reminder. The TEA FAQs for LASO 3 are going to be published next month. The date right now is November 13th, so that's something else to look out for on the LASO 3 website. Application scoring and interviews are scheduled for January. And just to let you know, it's going to be a really short window for interviews. So being able to change a date or a time for interviews is going to be very, very tight. So if you are invited as an applicant to a SAF interview, please know that that's going to be very difficult to change. The timeline right now is that award announcements for all of the LASO 3 grants is February 20th. As we mentioned before, SAF Cycle 9, the LASO 3 SAF grant is going to start on March 1st, 2025, and it will go all the way through June 30th, 2026. And the goal for TEA, for the grants division that handles all of the NOGAs for every single grant for TEA, their goal is to issue NOGAs by May 24th. Now, one thing to remember is that the grants division cannot issue a NOGA unless the LEA goes into eGrants and accepts the award and submits a budget in eGrants. That has to be completed before grants can actually issue a NOGA. So just as a reminder for you. All right, just a couple other final notes. Changes and decline. Well, nope, before that. So again, you must submit your application by December 13th, 5 p.m. Central Time. On October 14th, every superintendent in the state was emailed a specific unique link in order to submit their application. And that link has to be used to submit the application. It's a Qualtrics application, and the superintendent has to sign that application in order for it to be accepted. Now, on the LASO 3 website, there is a PDF that you can download if you want to have a PDF to help you as you're working through making your decisions about what you are applying for. But you cannot use that PDF to actually submit your application. The Qualtrics is what you need to use to submit your application with your superintendent's signature. So the next thing is just some more resources for you. Again, the next webinars are for SAF. Tomorrow is the reassign webinar, and then we will have the redesign webinar, and create new is on Thursday. The specific school action fund office hours are on November 4th. And then you have some next steps here broadly for LASO 3 as a whole, visiting the website page. And there's some communication on the website page as well, and some other registration information for all of the other grants as well as SAF. There's also some other resources available on the LASO 3 webpage, everything from best fit guidance to one-pagers for all of the grants, and eligibility and prioritization guidance documents. All right. If you have any questions, and I actually don't see any questions in either our Q&A or our chat, but if you have any questions, you will have this posted, but you see our office hours from 11 a.m. to 12 noon on November 4th. Again, we have 3 more webinars this week. Reassign tomorrow, redesign on Wednesday, create new on Thursday. Once again, the FAQs will be coming out on November 13th. Please send in as many of your questions as you can possibly think of. I know I might regret saying that. And you may also email your questions to the lasso@tea.texas.gov. You can also email me your questions, laura.hyatt@tea.texas.gov. And at this time, the answer you will get is I will add your questions to the FAQs. I will copy the LASO team, and we will add all of your questions and responses to the FAQs, due out again on November 13th, 2024. So we have 3 minutes left. Melissa and I will be here for the 3 minutes. Should anyone want to come off mute, or if you have a question that you would like to drop in the chat, we will be here for that time. In the meantime, thank you to everyone who joined us. I see a few people hopping off, and we hope this was helpful.